Hey, number 5. Well, Hoshed Kasherim, he who assumes or is willing to believe the evil of people who are known to be Kasherim, people who are known to be upright and righteous. Omer belibo she'eno het, I'm not doing anything wrong, he says to himself. Lefi shehu omer ma asiti lo, what did I do to him? V'chi yesh sham ela hashad, shema asa o lo asa. We're talking about a possibility, a hashad, suspicion. Some people say he did this, some people say he didn't do that. And I tend to believe it could be true. And you have no reason to believe that it's true. If it's true, it's true. And malasov, there's nothing to be done about that. But you need proof, especially if you're talking about kasherim. And most people don't realize this is a serious sin. The very act of viewing or categorizing a person who is kasher as a ba'al averot, as a sinful person, that itself is a very, very serious thing. An example is as follows. There is a fairly well-known example, fairly well-known episode that has been already making the rounds at least in certain communities, in certain places, regarding a certain Rav, without mentioning names. And certain individuals, for various reasons, I think one of the main reasons is that at least the original instigators of this episode, of this entire parasha, are truly mentally unstable, unwell. And we also know about the people involved, and we know about the fact that they are mentally unstable, that they're on medications and what have you. So we know that about these people. We are aware that they are on medications. They have been for years receiving various treatment and therapy. So there was a case, for example, of it started off with one particular woman, and then all of a sudden there was another woman, and then all of a sudden the father of the first woman went along with what his daughter was saying, and some other people said the same thing, all with reference to a certain Rav. Again, no names mentioned, and I will stress that I'm not a particular fan at all of this Rav, and I disagree with him on many, many things, but I recognize him as being a kasher, a very, very serious kasher. In other words, he is a very, I think, God-fearing Obedet Hashem. And I never for one moment believed these stories. The story was that she claimed that as a girl, this Rav molested her sexually, and then all of a sudden there was another woman who, 40 years later decided to announce that, oh yes, he attacked me when I was in his home when his wife was unwell, and whatever, all kinds of strange stories. And I did not tend to believe these things because I know something about the person involved. And I also know some of the objective facts about these individuals making these claims. And therefore I said from the outset, I don't believe a word of it. I'm not stating that such a thing can never happen. It can happen. Unfortunately, sometimes it does happen. And when that is the case, that is extremely troubling. A tremendous Hilul Hashem, if we're talking about, say, a well-known Rav or something like that. It's a terrible thing, no matter who's involved, if it's true. But if we're talking about a well-known Rav and the stories are true, then the rumors are true, or the claims against this person are known to be true, or almost certainly known to be true. In other words, what is described at the end of Masech Kiddushin as Kol She'eno Posek. In other words, there are so many rumors and stories about this person from different directions and from different sources, and it becomes very difficult to simply claim that all these people are somehow involved in a conspiracy against him, and That's already a different situation. But when we're talking about specific people who are known to be unwell and unstable, unfortunately, sometimes truly mentally ill, and they come up with such stories, and of course today it's very easy to publish such things. You post it on Facebook or on, I don't know, all manner of applications, whatever it might be, TikTok or I don't know, Instagram, whatever. I don't know all the names, and I don't even know how to use them, Baruch Hashem. But most of them anyway, I have no idea how they work, and I've never seen them. But it's very easy to publish such information or such claims nowadays. So the fact that a person is ill, mentally unstable, or has some axe to grind, or whatever the case may be, well, that's one thing. That's bad enough. And of course, such a Rav who finds himself accused of such things is in a very, very difficult and unenviable position. Because, as the expression goes in Hebrew, Lech tochiach she'enecha achot, prove that you don't have a sister. In other words, the expression in Hebrew is that if a person wants to spread a nasty rumor about someone to besmirch his name, he just has to drop a hint here or there that, his sister is a prostitute. But in fact, this person doesn't even have a sister. But that's not relevant. That's not material, because once you've made this statement or you've suggested it to some people, the rumor will spread like wildfire. And he will not be able to prove to anyone's satisfaction that he hasn't even got a sister. So it's an ideal kind of smear campaign. So such a Rav is in a terrible position. He's in a terrible position whether it's true or untrue. But particularly if it's untrue, how is he going to prove it? You can't really prove something did not happen. So what many people do, these individuals started posting all over the place, and they even did some sort of minor, silly kind of demonstration. They stood someplace with some placards and whatever it was. They did this a couple of times. This goes back a couple of years at least now, and then all kinds of people who hear this. Who, because they spend much too much time on Facebook, probably, all of a sudden, particularly women, but not only women, all of a sudden announce, Ani ma'amina lach, I believe you, of course it's what you say is true, and we support you, and they start bad-mouthing this Rav. They don't even know this Rav, or they only know of him vaguely. They have no information, they have no proof, nothing at all. Simply the fact that a woman made a claim against a man, that, well, it must be true. That's part of the insanity of feminism. So clearly she must be speaking the truth, and we all have to support her, because it's terrible when victims of sexual abuse are not believed and not taken seriously, which is also true, if it happens to be true. But one can, of course, completely lose one's compass and assume that just because somebody said something, insane or not, it must be true, or there must be at least some basis to it. So many people will choose to believe, just the act of believing. We're not talking about doing anything. Ha'hoshed biksheri, he who believes that such a person is a bal averot, even though they have no reliable information to that effect. That hashad, that belief, the fact that he tends to think it's true, is the sin, is the avera. This, of course, is not true about ahoshed b'ka'ele she'enam kasherim. There are plenty of such people, unfortunately, as well, who are very far from being kasherim, who are not upright, who are not. We have no reason to assume that they are honest, upright, moral people who avoid sin. No one is perfect, but we know them to be such people. A person who wishes to avoid sin, he's a kasher, and you're not allowed to be hoshed without very clear and convincing proof. But A person who is known not to be kasher, why would you assume that it's not true? It may well be true. And if you begin to hear this rumor and that rumor about such a person, and you don't know him to be kasher, you're allowed to be hashed. In other words, in that case, not to be hashed is an act of naivete, and not being grounded in reality, because in reality there are many people who are not kasher, and it's very reasonable to assume that they are evildoers in all respects. And if, for example, Hazal state that many people sin with regards to arayot, well, it's all unreasonable to believe this person isn't guilty of what's being said about him. It's also true that even with regards to such people nowadays, if we know if a person is famous, he's well known for whatever reason, he has enemies. And again, as we said before, go and prove that you do not have a sister. People will perhaps spread rumors about such a person for reasons of political gain, or even sometimes commercial, financial gain, to somehow benefit financially from another person's the fact that so-and-so's reputation is now in question. So all these things have to be taken into account. But what we're discussing here is a hoshed kesherim, he who tends to believe that which you have no reason to believe, and you have a hezkat kashrut. That's what we're talking about, as a hazakah. A person has a hezkat kashrut, and therefore you should not be in any kind of rush to believe such statements. And the act of believing such a thing, that itself is a avera, because people who have a hezkat kashrut have earned it and have worked for that, and to have it simply wiped away, nullified, because certain people decided to make certain claims, unsubstantiated claims, that is unacceptable, and very serious, in fact.